All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the YouTube audience. Welcome back to another episode of Coming Off the Bench with Benchwarmer Sports. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Actually, let's do this one more time here. But we are going to be talking. Sorry about that. You couldn't see me for a minute, but I apologize if the lighting's a little bit dark. The light bulb above me for the lighting just burnt out like a couple minutes ago, so we're gonna have to replace that here soon. But I'm a little bit short on time today, so this is going to be a little bit of a shorter coming off the bench. So I know it's been 2 weeks since the last one, but I did want to kind of do a little bit of a shorter, bite-sized version of the show today because, like I said, a little bit of a shorter schedule for me, a little bit of a time crunch, but I did want to get another episode out for you guys because I know it's been a little bit longer than I promised. But I felt like we could just talk about Deshaun Watson, what is going on with him, because I feel like the last couple of days since we've gotten further away from the Monday night game and the fiasco that was that game. And I feel like, to be honest with you, what Browns fans, including myself, did Monday night, Tuesday, was sort of coming off of a grieving process. And that was mostly because of what happened to Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb, by far, is the Browns' best offensive player. It's not even close. Like, Amari Cooper's a great player, but Nick Chubb is one of one. Nick Chubb is the guy. And I think a lot of Browns fans, including myself, were just grieving his loss for the season and possibly his career. Um, so looking back at our reactions from the last those first 24 hours removed from the game, um, I've kind of started to get more of a picture of Deshaun Watson, where watching film of the Monday night game, seeing different things, seeing different plays happening where the TV cameras don't capture it. They can't capture the entire play developing. Even though I think it would be a really good idea, you probably couldn't tell what's happening because it's too small on the field. But I would love to see if somehow, some way, TV, media, ESPN, Fox, CBS, NBC could figure out a way, or Prime could figure out a way to sort of like give us, like, like with the iPhones, right? You get the wide angle lens and stuff like that. You can like just like do like just a giant wide angle lens, get like the entire scope of wherever you're taking the picture from or the video from. I would love to see TV, do that for football, because I feel like if we have that type of camera, that type of view, I feel like a lot of stuff would be so much easier to talk about in terms of sports, and especially football, because after looking at the film in the All 22 from the game on Monday, it is clear to me that a lot of stuff that Deshaun was struggling with is himself. And I'll put a link down into the description after this stream is over. But Quincy Carrier did a pretty good breakdown video of the film regarding Deshaun Watson. I watched another guy, I think it was Josh Palmer, or one other guy who is a quarterback's coach, small channel, but he also broke down the film. And watching the film about Deshaun Watson, you could see that most of the stuff that is happening is a variety of things. One, I think that a lot of people haven't given the Steelers defense credit for what they've done or for what they did on Monday night. The defensive line, especially, at times, I think manhandled the Browns' offensive line. there was times where, and if you watch Quincy Carrier's video and the other video, where Wyatt Teller was getting beat by Larry Ogunjobi so bad, like very bad, all pro offensive lineman. Wyatt Teller was getting beat very badly by Larry Ogunjobi, okay? There was also other times in the pick where, Quincy Carrier tries to, uh, relay the fact that he thinks the ball was tipped by the defensive lineman where Harrison Bryant couldn't catch it and it went in for a pick six from Alonzo Highsmith or Alex Highsmith. Um, a lot of the stuff that I saw from Deshaun that pretty pretty much, at least what I got from watching the tape and watching the All 22, was that Deshaun Watson simply right now is not comfortable. He's not comfortable. And I think that's the main takeaway of like why is Deshaun Watson, the overarching question that every Browns fan is trying to answer right now is why is Deshaun not uh not succeeding? Why is Deshaun Watson struggling this much? He had 6 games coming out of the 700 days layoff where he did not play football at all. Okay? He did not play football for 2 years. And, the 6 games that he had last year were going to knock off the rust. They're going to knock those off. Then this season, he has an entire off season to work on his craft, to get back in the swing of things and stuff like that. Now, to be fair, I understand too. The one thing that I said in the off season, and I've been trying to force into my head, is that Deshaun Watson historically is a slow starter, yeah, but from the 6 games that we saw last season to the first 2 games that we have had this season, the first game you can sort of say, oh well, it was the weather that caused Deshaun to struggle like that, and he said that too. But this game there was no weather hindering his performance. Right, there was no weather condition that could cause him to play as bad as he did. Right. But after we looked at the tape, after I watched the tape, and I heartily suggest that if you're a Browns fan or if you're just an NFL fan in general, you want to figure out why is Deshaun Watson just so bad right now, go and watch Quincy Carrier's film breakdown. Watch, I think he's the QB coach. He does another breakdown. I linked that film breakdown of not Quincy Carrier, but the other guy's film breakdown in my Can Deshaun Watson return to being a top 5 quarterback video. If you go down in the description underneath the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, underneath the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show link, that's the other link to the film breakdown video of Deshaun Watson by a quarterback coach. But essentially, after viewing multiple videos and viewing the film, you come away, at least for me, with the overall message with being the Browns offense is not the problem. Like the scheme of the offense that Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt that they have been implementing, that they have been scheming up with Deshaun, right? Because that's what we heard throughout the entire offseason was that him and Deshaun Watson, Stefanski, Van Pelt, and Deshaun met for months and weeks to try and bring up a new offense that would cater to his skill set. Well, you watch the film, there's a lot of open receivers. There's a lot of guys who are running routes where they are wide open. There are a lot of coverages that the defense on the Steelers were running where Deshaun Watson should be able to pick that up like that, right? Where Houston Deshaun would would just, that's like second nature to him, where he just figure out like what's going on. But it seems like to me that Deshaun Watson right now is the problem with the Cleveland Browns offense. And that's not to mean that he's not going to get better. That's not to mean that we need to give up on Deshaun Watson. The Browns had to give up on Deshaun Watson because you've already spent $230 million and 3 first-round picks and multiple pick swaps with the Houston Texans. So if he does suck, if he continues to suck, he's our problem for at least another couple of years because we paid the price. We paid the price, and you know he's going to be with us for the next couple of years. But after watching those videos and after viewing the tape, I do come away with the fact that Deshaun Watson pretty much is the main problem for the Cleveland Browns offense and why the offense is struggling so much. Because, with the loss of Nick Chubb, yes, losing Nick Chubb is definitely going to hurt the Cleveland Browns. I know there's been some cope by Cleveland media and by other Browns fans where, Jerome Ford is going to be good. Kareem Hunt coming back, even though he had his worst career year last year with us, averaging like 3.8 yards a carry and just being absolutely, losing a step, clearly. But, losing Nick Chubb is going to hurt. I definitely think Jerome Ford is going to be at least a little bit of a Band-Aid. He's not going to stop the bleeding, but he's going to be able to, make sure, where the Browns, if the Browns still had, Jacoby Brissett, for example, the Browns would be dead right now. We'd have bled out to death. With Deshaun Watson, at least, you still have a little bit of a Band-Aid. Jerome Ford is still at least a little bit of a Band-Aid. So we're still living, but we're very, very badly injured, in my opinion. But if you watch the tape, Deshaun Watson has receivers open, and that is what is kind of, confusing to me when I talk to Browns fans. And I don't want to criticize the people who comment on my videos, but there's been a couple of comments on my videos where it seems like people are just absolutely not willing to criticize Watson, but they want to instead blame Stefanski for Deshaun's problems because, Baker Mayfield had problems underneath Kevin Stefanski. Jacoby Brissett didn't succeed that well under Kevin Stefanski in terms of record-wise. But then now Deshaun Watson has to be struggling because, what's the overlying cause? It's Kevin Stefanski. But if you look at the tape, if you watch the videos, if you watch Quincy Carrier's breakdown, if you watch the other guy's breakdown of the film, the All-22, Deshaun Watson has open receivers. Receivers are open. Receivers are getting open. The defensive formations are, giving the Browns and Deshaun so many opportunities to complete passes, okay? The problem is that Deshaun simply is not playing well. He's not hitting the receivers that he's supposed to hit. For example, the one play that has been talked about, the play to Elijah Moore on the sideline, where Elijah Moore could have gotten a first down, but then I think Joey Porter Jr. was in coverage. You see, what do you call it? He's running, I think it was a mesh route over to the sideline for about 13 yards or something like that to get the first down in the Steelers red zone. And, Deshaun has Elijah Moore wide open, and he simply hesitates, and he throws the ball a little bit too late, and then Joey Porter Jr. makes a play on it. Okay, the other play with I want to say with the touchdown from the goal line where he threw the pass to Jerome Ford. Right. To me, I didn't see until I watched the film and I watched the video of the film breakdown was the fact that Deshaun Watson had Amari Cooper wide open in a flat route on the left side. And, I understand they just lost Nick Chubb. Feelings are going all over the place. His mind may be a little bit, everywhere right now. But he's missing receivers where normally he wouldn't. And I think that's the problem that we're having right now with Deshaun Watson is that he's just simply not seeing what he used to see. And after watching that tape, that is what has been very, very prevalent to me, is that Deshaun mentally just isn't there right now. He's not there. I understand that's been the whole entire debate. Is Deshaun Watson's confidence still there? Is Deshaun's mental acuity and mental preparation to the game still there? And right now, after watching the tape, like I said, and I know I keep repeating that line, but you have to watch the all 22 to make the come to conclusions that I have made. Okay, and I'm not pulling this out of my ass. I'm this is what I've studied and I looked at. Deshaun Watson right now is the problem. Is not a problem that can't be fixed. It's not a problem that with time could get better, but Deshaun Watson's the problem right now. Kevin Stefanski's not the problem. Kevin Stefanski, the play caller, at times isn't the problem. We can talk about that 4th-and-1 option play all day long and talk about how just freaking sneak the ball with your $230 million quarterback. Okay, it's not like Baker Mayfield who's 6 foot, right? You got a 6'2" guy back there. Just sneak the ball. Okay, it's not Kevin Stefanski that's the main issue right now, and I want to get that point across to Browns fans, to people in the NFL right now. It's Kevin Stefanski is not the big problem with what is going on with the Browns offense. No matter what people want you to believe with some members of the media, I know Tony Rizzo was going off on Tuesday or Wednesday about how Kevin Stefanski is so unbelievably bad and how oh my God, how could he just call this game plan? The game plan is just not working with Deshaun. Deshaun Watson's not working. Okay? Deshaun Watson is simply not working right now. That's the point I want to get across to everybody. Deshaun Watson's not working. And he needs to figure it out, because the worst part about it, which is what Browns fans have been fearing, is that it's mental. Is that people are worried that it's mental. And after looking at it, you kind of have to come to the conclusion that it looks like it's mental. It looks like it's his reads are either late or they're just not there. He doesn't have confidence in some of the receivers, it looks like, because there's a lot of receivers who are wide open over the middle and he simply just won't throw them the ball. He's staring down other guys. He has a good connection with Amari Cooper, but Elijah Moore is simply struggling right now. He's found something in David Bell. I never thought that we'd see David Bell have a good couple of targets and a couple of catches. But, Donovan Peoples-Jones simply has been non-existent. He's been an apparition. Cedric Tillman really hasn't done anything. Marquise Goodwin has had a couple of targets downfield, but Deshaun has been so inaccurate. It hasn't really panned out to anything. But that's the main thing I want to get across to a lot of people who are Browns fans, who are football fans. Deshaun Watson's the problem right now. It can be fixed. He can be fixed. The mental acuity stuff, the late reads, the hesitation on passes, the decision making, that can be fixed. I think with time it can be fixed. The problem though is that you're racing against the clock and time is running out, because this season, and I know it was said multiple times throughout the last couple of years, this season is the most important season in the last 20 years, because you are the most talented you've ever been on both sides of the ball. You have a regime that could be on its way out if you guys don't succeed, with Stefanski being gone, Andrew Berry probably being gone. You're back to square one with trying to do another rebuild, after the last 5 years of trying to be, after trying to be successful with Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little surprised why people are getting overly worried. I get it. We want him to look better, but let's get a quarterback. Wait, what does it say? Let's get a quarter of the year. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read your comment, David. Let's get a quarter of the year under our belts before hitting the panic button. In my opinion. Well, no, I agree. No, I agree. Like I said in my rant after the game, I'm fine with giving him 8 games, but because that's the thing, he's a notoriously slow starter. That's not my issue. My issue is that you know I'll give him time, but he's had an entire off season, and his comments yesterday about not having chemistry with some of the O line and some of the receivers. Well, what was the point of the off season then if you guys were going out with each other to like places like, remember they went out to like Puerto Rico and other vacation spots to work out with each other in order to gain that chemistry. He had mini camp, he had training camp, he had OTAs. That's the time to get yourselves acclimated with one another, right? So yeah, I mean, like, I'll give him time. I have no problem giving Deshaun time to figure it out. But at the same time, he still should be at least a lot farther along than what he actually is right now. And that's my thing. And a lot of people have been blaming Stefanski. I've seen a lot of people talking about how Kevin Stefanski in especially in the comments section, and like some people in the Cleveland sports media have been talking about how Kevin Stefanski's game plan with Deshaun has been the reason why Deshaun is struggling. That's simply not true if you just watch the film. It's not. I mean, some of the guys are running routes not the greatest, okay? Uh, some of the play calls have had guys schemed wide open, and Deshaun's just not hitting them. That's the problem that we're having right now, is that Deshaun Watson's not playing good enough. And I'm not calling for him to be, benched. I'm not calling for him to be, released or traded away right now. But what I'm saying is that for the assets and the paycheck that you're giving him right now, and the assets that you gave up in order to get him, and the PR hit that you took in order to have a guy who you thought was going to be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback to lead this team over the hill, over the mountain that we have been trying to get over for the last 35 years. Yeah, I expect a lot more. I expect a lot better from Deshaun Watson. So, like I said, David, that's where I'm coming from. But I mainly wanted to talk about this because I feel like a lot of people have been blaming Stefanski, where I don't feel like Stefanski necessarily deserves 100% of the blame. And I think I would go probably 80-20 Deshaun, with just not playing well enough. And that's not to say, like I said, it's not to say that I think he's toast. I'm not going to go the Nick Wright route where it's where he's not going to be good anymore. But there's certainly concern to think that what's going on, man? What's going on? I'm going to the game Sunday for my birthday. The rest of the season will prove if Watson is worth the money, and if he isn't, then this team. Yeah, I'd agree, Prez. By the way, happy birthday! That's my birthday as well, so I might go down to the game as well. Maybe we might bump into each other. Who knows? Not 100% sure if I'm going down there yet, but we'll see. But happy birthday to you. But no, I agree. That's where I'm coming from. We'll see this season. I'm not going to say definitively yet, if he doesn't play well this season, that he's not worth the money. I'll be definitely over the 50% mark to say he's not worth the money. For sure, if he's terrible this season, if he doesn't get better. But yeah, if like I said, the problem with Deshaun and the theory and the hypothetical that if Deshaun never gets better, if Deshaun still struggles, then yeah, the Cleveland Browns are set back for years with the assets that we've given away, the 3 first-round picks that you could have potentially used to, build for the future, with all the other, the contracts that they've signed with, Denzel Ward for like $100 million, with the offensive line, the running backs, everything. It's scary. It's scary to think about because they've put all their chips on Deshaun Watson. They've bet the house on Deshaun Watson. And if it doesn't work out, and if they don't get close to the Super Bowl, if they don't go to the Super Bowl, if they don't win a Super Bowl, it's a failure. In my opinion, I think the Browns have to at least make a Super Bowl appearance, or at least get to the AFC Championship game with Deshaun Watson. And if he doesn't do that, then it's a failure. It's a failure in my eyes. That's my goal. That's my goal. That's what Deshaun Watson was supposed to do for this Cleveland Browns team, because they thought Baker Mayfield wasn't going to lead them over the hill and go towards the Super Bowl. They thought Deshaun Watson would. And if Deshaun Watson can't get them to do there, can't get them there, or can't get them to do that, then it's a failure. And it's a failure that's going to cost this team years. It's going to just put us right back to square one, right back where we were in 2016, 2017, where we're going 1-31. We're going back for drafting another quarterback with our first pick, and we're going to continue the whole entire cycle again because we like pain. And I think, I'll be honest, if the Deshaun Watson thing doesn't work out, Kevin Stefanski, I think Andrew Berry deserves more of the blame because he's the guy who comes up with all the acquisitions and stuff like that. But I think, Andrew Berry should be fired most definitely if it doesn't work out. And it's not going to happen. But I think Jimmy Haslam has to sell the team because clearly you okayed the trade. He had to okay the trade because it's $230 fully guaranteed $1 million. Fully guaranteed. There's no way in hell Andrew Berry would have done that deal without the consent and approval of Jimmy and D Haslam. And if this doesn't work out, it's not going to happen. But they should be forced to sell the team because for the last 11 years that they've had ownership since 2012, this team has been an absolute train wreck. They have probably been, outside of probably Jim Irsay and Dan Snyder, the worst ownership group in the NFL in terms of just being so unbelievably disorganized and chaotic. They just need to put their paws on everything on this team. So if it doesn't work out, I would love to see them being forced to sell the team because, for God's sakes, we need some mercy rules over here with the Cleveland Browns. We need some mercy rules if this doesn't work out because I definitely feel like people are going to walk away from their fandomship after this if this doesn't work out. But yeah, I think I've covered what I've wanted to cover for Deshaun and the Browns. I think 29 minutes or 27 minutes is good enough. So we'll do that for Deshaun. That'll end the Deshaun discussion there. But I did want to get my thoughts and opinions out about that because, like I said, I saw a lot of comments talking about blaming Stefanski and talking about that and the play calling, and I'm like, it's not true. It's not true. It's not Stefanski. It's Deshaun. It's Deshaun. It's Deshaun. Deshaun's not working right now. Deshaun needs to get better. Hopefully Sunday against the Titans, the 31st ranked past defensive team, hopefully it's a lot better. But okay. Now, with the final one of the day, we'll talk about the Thursday night matchup. I want to talk about the New York Giants because, my God, our contract with Deshaun Watson's looking bad right now. Okay, look, I'll preface this. I'll preface that by saying that. All right. I know I may get some stuff from Giants people by saying that Deshaun, Daniel Jones' contract is fucking abysmal. It is fucking abysmal. My God. I still don't understand why in God's name would you pay Daniel Jones, I almost said Danny Derps, Daniel Jones, $40 million. Who approved that? I want to know, did Mara approve that? Because holy shit, what in the hell? I feel bad for the guy too, because it wasn't all his fault last night. Don't get me wrong. The 49ers defense just is absolutely they're just studs, right? They're just studs. And of course we're going to play them in a couple of weeks too, which I cannot wait. We got 3 weeks until that one. Yippee. With the way our offensive line has been playing and the way Deshaun has been playing, oh boy, I think that's going to be a blowout for the 49ers. Um but yeah, no, I mean the offensive line of the Giants looks absolutely cooked. I know they're injured a little bit. But there was like one play where I think the tight end, it was like the one in the first quarter where Daniel Jones and the Giants were like on the 10-yard line, and I think they had the tight end lined up on the right side next to the right tackle. I think was it Andrew Thomas on the left? No, yeah, Andrew Thomas is on the left, and then Evan Neal on the right. And I mean Nick Bosa just like went in unchallenged past the tight end. I mean the tight end just didn't even move, and Daniel Jones got rocked. I don't know, man. Like I said, giving Daniel Jones, I will never understand. And I said this last year too. Daniel Jones had a good year last year, at least good in his performance. Like in his eyes, it was a good year for him. Um, but he still wasn't great. He still threw for like 3,200 yards and like 22 touchdowns. Like he wasn't great by stats wise. He's a decent running quarterback, but are we gonna forget that the guy was terrible for 4 years? It's the same thing with Josh Allen for me. Like, like people want to forget Josh Allen. His first 2 years in the league was terrible. He was terrible. He was like a 55% completion rating guy. Like he was not great. Turned the ball over a lot, threw a lot of interceptions, fumbled a lot. I mean, he leads the NFL since 2018 with the most turnovers out of any quarterback. Okay, that's the one thing I don't get. It's the same thing with Justin Herbert. I think the media overhypes Justin Herbert to the death, but like I said, Josh Allen is Josh Allen was terrible for his first 2 years, and then of course the media now he's good. He's good now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Josh Allen is terrible, or bad, but he sucked his first 2 years, and then the media forgot about that because Josh Allen played well and he was an MVP caliber player for like 2 straight years, 3 straight years. Daniel Jones was terrible his first 4 years in the league. Then he was good last season. And then, of course, like I said, a lot of people in the media, in the sports media, are from New York. They are based in New York. So, of course, they're mostly Giants or Jets fans. So they're overhyping Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. Daniel Jones is not good. Daniel Jones is not good. I will forever laugh at the New York Giants for giving Daniel Jones $40 million a year because you really think that because he was good 20% of the time that he was there in New York. I know he didn't play when Eli was there. I mean, when Eli was in his last season. But when he was not good for 20, or he was not good for 80% of his time on that team, that's worthy of $40 million. That's almost like a Browns contract. That would be something Jimmy Haslam would do. Seriously, that would be something that we would do. But yeah, no, I mean, the Giants are a mess right now. Brian Daboll was going nuts on the sideline last night. To be fair, kind of warranted with the way his team was playing and getting those penalties. And then, with the 49ers look scary, dude. Brock Purdy, I'm not going to say he's Tom Brady, but the storyline, he's putting up like Tom Brady. I think, 13 straight regular season wins by the Niners. I think Brock Purdy's like 11-0 as a starter I think his only loss came as when he tore his UCL in an NFC Championship game last season. Um, and no, man, I mean, 49ers look scary. If there's any team that can put up a fight, I think, against the Eagles, I think it's the 49ers. I know Dallas and the Cowboys have been getting a lot of love lately, especially their defense. That Trayvon Diggs injury, though, from yesterday with the torn ACL, that's going to be huge, I think. Trayvon Diggs is one of their best defensive players. I think that's going to have an impact in their secondary. Um, but I don't know. I'm not high on Dak. I've never been high on Dak Prescott. I think he's like a fringe top 10 guy, but I never viewed him as like a top 10 caliber quarterback. I'm more inclined to support the Niners. I think the Niners have a decent shot because they've been coming out of the gate firing strong. The Eagles have taken a little bit more time to warm up this season. I'm not saying that they're not going to warm up and they're not going to do better, that they're not going to do well, but the 49ers are looking pretty good right now. And if there's any other team that can make a run for that NFC title, Niners look like they could be it right now. Because Brock Purdy's been playing pretty well. Nick Bosa's been playing really well. I know he got his first sack from yesterday. George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is looking like old Christian McCaffrey again. It's going to be interesting to see for the Niners. But yeah, I definitely wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about that. But yeah, those were basically the two topics I wanted to talk about in this episode of Coming Up the Bench. I understand a little bit short. I know it's going to be 40 minutes long for the entire episode, but just a little bit time crunch here with some stuff for college and work and that. So thought I could get this out to you guys right now. Just a little bit of a shorter episode, but definitely wanted to talk about those two things. We're going to be doing a pregame show for the Browns Titans game Sunday morning, so make sure you guys are tuned in for that. We're gonna be I'll try and start around 9. May try and go around 9 o'clock, 9:30. It's gonna be a smaller show, probably like this length, around half an hour, 40 minutes or so, depending on if I'm going to the game or not. If I'm not going to the game, may do a live watch along for my birthday because it's my birthday when they're playing. May do a live watch along for the Browns Titans game. May do some fun stuff with that. So make sure you guys have your notifications turned on for this channel. So if you guys want to be notified when I'm going live for the pregame stream, or if I'm going live for a live watch along, or if I'm going uploading my post game rant or my reaction to the game, make sure you guys have your notifications turned on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out here on your Friday morning. I know guys are either at work or at school, so I appreciate you guys coming out here for your Friday morning. Thank you guys so much for interacting with the stream, and yeah, I'll see you guys all on Sunday. So thank you guys so much for your support. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you're